Hello, g'day, it's Chris Skian, and this is my little video, my value video on 4 tips on how to have quality time out. I speak and teach and talk to a lot of people about having time out, having time to think, and this is a video on just that one subject or topic. It's still not everything. There's so much that surrounds or encompasses this thought. You can spend hours talking about it, but I'm trying to condense it into 4 tips. The big question here is, I suppose, why have time out? What do you even mean? What I'm talking about is when you're in a situation where, and I'll get to this in a minute, where you need the time out. It's about having quiet time where you can think, where you can open your mind, where to do that. Why would you want to do it? Maybe you're in a rut. Maybe you're feel like a duck where you're seemingly gracious on the top, but your legs are going like crazy underneath. You're in might be a financial crisis, maybe a family crisis. Maybe your spiritual faith, unknown land is beating at you. Maybe you're just tired. Maybe you've been working for 40 years, 50 years and going, I just can't keep doing this. Or maybe you're young. Maybe you're only 20 and you left school at 18 and for 2 years you've been going like crazy. Like all of us, put my hand up. You feel like you're invincible and you live in the fast lane, and you've got to stop and just breathe. And so that's what these tips are about. The question to you is, why are you watching this? Why have you clicked through? It's fair to say probably because you're feeling one or maybe two or maybe a whole lot of these situations where there's a reason that you want to have time out. You're in this rut of life, and you want some tips. So my first one is that it has to be a quiet place. Now, at the moment, I'm sitting at the back of my place, and there's chooks walking around. It's very quiet, no one else home, and so if you hear the chooks, then you'll know what's going on. But this is a quiet place for me. I can hear the bush, the cicadas, if you can hear that, certainly. But outside that, nothing. Sometimes beach is a great place. It's just the drone of the surf. There's nothing else. Now, quiet places where there's no white noise. There's no phones going off. There's no one yelling at you or yelling out to you even maybe. Maybe people aren't yelling at you, but yelling out to you, trying to get your attention, or all these things. It's where you can quieten your mind. Obviously, close your eyes. So you're quietening your conscious mind. To do that, you have to quieten what you hear. Close your eyes. Be somewhere where you're not moving, so you're not feeling things. All your conscious is sort of almost closed down, so you can listen. And we'll talk about that in a minute, of what's going on in your subconscious and why you want to do this. But it has to be a quiet place. You can't say, I'm going to go for a time out weekend and I'm going water skiing with my mates, and that's time out. That's not really quality time out. That's just fun. That's relaxing, but you're back into the grind. You haven't come up with a solution or a way, or you haven't stopped to think about and reflect. I always talk about, you don't dwell on the past, but we certainly need to reflect on the past and learn from it, and then going forward with a mentor's help, figure out, well, here's what I learned from my past and here's what I'm thinking. What do you think about that? And that's when you get a good mentor and you get help, and people will point you in the right direction. Now, go back to tip 1, it has to be a quiet place. You can't do that at the cricket or water skiing or snowboarding or whatever. Find somewhere where you can stop your mind and think. There's so many different teachings on that and so much knowledge around that, and it's where those thoughts come from, and that's a whole nother video on the power of the subconscious, and there's certainly a lot of teaching around it. But really, to shorten these tips up, find a quiet place. The second tip is to allocate some time to be able to listen to your mind. So create a habit. I talk a lot about habits. Allocating time. Maybe you might say, I'm going to go on a spiritual weekend, or go away on some find myself thing where I'm going to spend 2 or 3 days, and you'd have to be a very, very well disciplined person to be able to quieten your mind for that long. Believe me, doing it for half an hour, 10 minutes when it's new to you it can be a little bit difficult. So my story is I learnt 18 months, a couple of years ago. In fact, really my journey is over the last 5 or 6, 7 years, 8 years of having good mentorship, teaching me things and teaching me to quiet my mind. But it was never really a good habit. I'd do it sporadically, and it was only 18 months ago or so ago where it became a habit for me where I realised I needed to do half an hour to an hour every day. And I started to do it at night time, but when you close your eyes, because you've got to quieten your mind, okay, at night time, you've had a busy day, I'm one who goes to sleep in like 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, I hit the pillow. I was just gone. It was no good for me. So I realised, okay, I'll try the mornings. I experimented. This is my encouragement to yourself to experiment. And I started getting up at 5 o'clock every morning for the last 18 months now, and it's been amazing. I certainly don't walk out of bed and sit down and then quiet my mind. I can't do that either. I'll have a cup of tea and sit down and read for a bit and relax and just waking up, and then I'll go into that mode, I suppose. But it's the tip here at the moment is just to allocate the time and get into the habit of finding a place and a time where you can sit quietly and be disciplined to stick to it. You don't have to make it long. Start with 10 minutes. Start to try and make it, even if it was 5 days a week, in a Sunday or something like that. If you want a day off where you just do sleep in. Right, tip 3, record and converse. Now, so you've allocated yourself some time, you've found a nice quiet place. What do? So to start off with, just try to listen and close out all those things. As I said, ideas will come to you. Obviously, they come from your subconscious mind, and again, so much training and learning about who puts them in the subconscious mind. How do they get there? We won't go there just for the minute. But when you get ideas, write them down. Okay, and then converse part of it is talk to your mentor. I've talked a lot about mentors, and ring them up later that day or text them. I was sitting thinking this morning, that's all you need to say, and this idea come to my mind. I don't know where it come from. I don't know how I got it. I don't know what it means even. What do you think? And so it's having a good advice, a good mentor, someone who's walked the walk, someone who's balanced life, who's done what you're doing, and they could help you through these things. So they can't help you if you don't remember it, and believe me, being there and doing it every day, you'll get ideas, and if you don't write it down or think about it, pretty much write it down straight away afterwards, you'll forget. We've got technology these days. You can pick up your phone and write a note quickly, or a voice memo. Someone might pop into your mind. Like this is what I'm talking about here. Sometimes is you might be quiet in your mind and you'll be thinking about breakfast, or you're hungry. All of a sudden, a name pops into you. Mrs. Jones pops into your head, and you go, "What do I need to bring Mrs. Jones for? I don't know." If there's any Mrs. Jones watching this, sorry, don't want anyone to ring you, but why do I need to contact this person? A name might pop in your head, an idea might pop in your head, a business idea, a thought process, something nice to do to someone who probably hasn't been quite so nice to you. These are the sort of ideas when you quieten your mind will come up in your mind, and you need to remember them, so don't forget. All right, so I call it the dial a friend factor. Converse with your mentor. Sometimes sleep on the ideas, and certainly don't get an idea. This is the thing where a good mentor will teach you this, and then run out an hour later and act on it. Sometimes you need to pause and think about what that idea meant. Investigate. Maybe just think about that the next day. And you run with something. So you've sat quietly, or you found a quiet place. You've allocated the time. You're conversing with your mentor, writing notes. And the 4th tip is about having what I call a pure brain. It's about having a fresh, why the morning's good, alcohol/drug-free mind. To have quality time, you must have a clear, we'll say drug-free. Now, I'm not talking about drugs. Drugs can be anything. Drugs can be too much coffee. A cup of tea to wake you up is okay, but having 6 cups of coffee and then just being zinging, or 3 Red Bulls and go, right, my mind's clear now. I feel I've got a clear mind. It's not really. It's you're off the charts, or we're having a couple of beers. Well, that's the opposite. It slows you down, and you haven't got a clear mind. You're clouded. So my teaching here and my tip is have a pure brain. There's so much study and correlation between the conscious and subconscious, but the crux of what we're doing here is to quieten the input conscious mind so we can hear what the subconscious is telling us. You understand that? I talked about this a few minutes ago. You can't hear what the subconscious is telling you if it's clouded. So the question is, where does that come from? Where do those thoughts come from? The subconscious mind. And look, that is such a huge thing. There's so much books, there's so much writing, there's a lot of spiritual beliefs and Certainly stuff you put in there and you've programmed yourself over the years forms a part of your subconscious mind. Certainly spiritual beliefs come into play here. Who you are, why you think the way you think can be a combination of a whole lot of things. Your upbringing, your family, your surroundings, the whole analogy of you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Now, what exactly does that mean? And I've heard other stories where you'll probably be earning about the same or the average as the other 4 or 5 people who you knock around with. You go, what? It's really challenging. And then have a think about that. What do you like? Are you just like your mates, and that's why you'll hang around together? That's not a bad thing. But if you're not happy with your life, then how do you get out of that? Think. Have a quiet mind. Think about what's going into your brain. Converse with your mentor. Make sure you're alcohol free and you don't have 5 beers and go, right, now I'm going to sit outside and have my quiet thinking time. It's not going to work that well. All right? So there's such a larger dimension behind all that subconscious thing, and this is not about teaching you all that and, going into my spiritual thoughts or anything like that. This is just about setting some quiet time and then getting good mentorship, good advice as to what to do with those thoughts. All right. Believe me, these tips come from what I know and what I've experienced. So certainly, and what I've learnt and read and stuff from somebody else. They're my 4 tips, and they're here to create further discussion, to help people, and to summarise: be in a quiet place, allocate time, record and converse with your mentor, and have a pure brain, quiet brain while you're doing that. So thanks in advance for liking and sharing and reaching out to me and starting a conversation. If you need more help, just say, hey Chris,